So, welcome to a new year 2026. I'm a little bit congested, so I apologize. But I am kind of sad because we just arrived to the last bit of one of my favorite shows, Stranger Things. I started watching it around 2017, which is when the show came out. And it was because my roommate told me that they were playing, the kids in the show, they were playing Dungeons and Dragons, and the show takes place in the 80s, so they were playing probably Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, or um, most likely not the second edition. Maybe they were playing the first edition, but that's something that I cannot tell from the show. Um, and I, being a person of what age, um, I I know that I started playing Dungeons and Dragons in the late 80s. Played Advanced Dungeons and Dragons when I got into college in 1993, and had a good group of friends. We'll join there. We'll play Dungeons and Dragons. We'll have epic adventures. Some adventures were fun. Some adventures were sad. I got a lot of characters killed, but it was an enjoyable time. So I got sucked into a series and I started watching the series. And I have to admit that it just got me so much excited about learning more about like what's going on, because when I was younger I watched other similar movies of science fiction. My teacher, English teacher in high school, even though I went to a Christian evangelical high school in Puerto Rico, he introduced to us to movies like The Lost Boys, and there was another one that I can't remember the name, but it was about I think it was Travelers, and science fiction movies that I never thought I was going to see, and that created an interest in me in those kind of movies. I have been a big fan of the movie Ghostbusters, which, when we talk about dimensional, different dimension invading, trying to invade Earth, Ghostbusters was one of the first ones that had similar themes, which is similar to what we see in this final season of Stranger Things, another dimension that is about to come to Earth. And there are other movies too that the series have reminded me of. And for example, Firestarter, which I got to read the book and see the movie with Drew Barrymore. Definitely recommend that movie if anybody get a chance to watch it. Stargate, again, portals that take you to a different planet, to a different place. Event Horizon, Event Horizon, which is a movie that it's a horror, but it also has that idea of like, oh, we're trying to find a way to transport, and the ship ended up going to a different dimension, which is a dimension of pure chaos, and then the ship comes back. It's a very scary movie, but again, similar theme. The movie E.T., because of Dungeons and Dragons, being played supernatural too. The demons and even the mind flayer, the particles, sometimes you see that in there. And a series that not many people probably have seen is Diablero, which is on Netflix. So if you get a chance to see it, watch it. Similar to Supernatural, and again, you see the particles, and the demons are like particles that move around and they can take possession of people. Um, so things like that. I have always been a big fan of science fiction. So let's talk about the things that I like about the season finale, because it was, in my opinion, it was good. I enjoyed it. Um, that that fight scene between Vecna, the Mind Flayer, and the heroes, that was, in my opinion, super epic. We could see a symbiotic relationship between Henry Creel and the Mind Flayer, and Henry Creel not having any redemption arc. It's like, oh no, I decided to join and I agree with the Mind Flayer, and I'm not coming back, pretty much, That was really, took me by surprise, but like, it made him a full villain, so you don't feel bad when the heroes defeated him and the Mind Flayer. The Mind Flayer being a gigantic Kaiju, that was fantastic. It reminded me of like battles of Dungeons and Dragons when I play, and even the kids, like when they are strategizing how to defeat the Mind Flayer, that pretty much they get the idea from playing Dungeons and Dragons. So it was really interesting, and seeing the psychic fight between Eleven and Vecna, that was really amazing. And then Will um, helping Eleven win, that was really cool. One of the things that I didn't like, I was really sad when Kali ended up dying, and we don't know if she really died or not. But like, I was really sad. I wanted her to have also a little bit of redemption arc. Um, and I think if Hopper hasn't forgotten about her, they both could probably be alive. I thought that he was going to pick both of them and take them away, but that did not happen. Um, I did enjoy the open ended in the season. Like it could go either way. You could believe that she died during after she came back. She ended up sacrificing, which is the ultimate hero sacrifice, or you could believe what Mike says in the end, where she probably escaped and was able to go and find peace in a different place. Is she dead or alive? I don't know. We'll see. But like definitely, I enjoy the ending. I personally do want to believe that she's still alive. That ending that Mike did was like beautiful, especially after finishing the adventure of Dungeons and Dragons. That was one of the best narrations and storytelling that I have seen for an adventure. And I have played campaigns where sometimes like we don't get too much explanation or there's not too much being said by the dungeon master. So it was nice to see that happening in there. Having um, the dungeon master described very good explanation for what happened after the game ended. The epilogue was really good. I did enjoy it, and just seeing how the characters were coping with the death of their or the disappearance of their friend, and also how they continue going with their lives and the future. I mean, definitely they created a world where more monsters or more monster hunting could happen, and that would be great. Even if they do a spin-off with a different kind of enemy, that would be interesting to see. Did the government stopping uh, to pursue and figure out what happened? I don't know. I think they could have gone a bit more with that. Um, but also, like, what are they going to do now that they don't have access to that dimension? Are they continuing funding that program? Are they doing something else? So those are questions that they left kind of like very open in my opinion. Um, and then the final the end session, it was really awesome. It's like Mike passing the torch to his sister, and the new kids get taken over. It reminded me of when my friends they move out of college, and I no longer see them, but I remember the times that I spent playing with them, and I'm pretty sure that we got replaced by new people that came to take over the place, and new people that probably play Dungeons and Dragons where we used to play before. Um, definitely, it brings back memories of that, and I don't miss playing with my friends. Once we went our way, I haven't seen them, and some of them I don't know where they are, and it's sad, unfortunate, but that happens. Even one of the last group that I play Pathfinder and I play a barbarian, and after we finish, I haven't played any game where I start from a low level all the way to a higher level, and you get into that kind of epic adventure. So yeah, that was really cool, and seeing that the cycle kind of like repeats itself, it was quite interesting. So I don't know if they do a spin-off series. Will be interesting to see what they come up with. Would there will be more psychic powers or like another world event where another dimensions try to take over the earth? I don't know, but yeah, this was a good series. I enjoyed watching the whole series, and I enjoyed watching the character progress through the series. Could have been better? Yes, definitely. More. Maybe having more Demogorgons, more fights, but at the same time, I don't think that was in it. I just want to see that final fight with the boss monsters versus the heroes. That was what I was willing to see from the beginning of season one. That villain getting defeated. Um, that there are other layers that they could have explored more in the series, definitely. But at the same time, budget, money wise, and how complicated you want to make the story now, honestly. Um, We know that governments sometimes they want to pursue things, scientists that pursue things. You can watch series like Diablero, where you have scientists trying to open a portal to a different dimension. Warrior Nun 2 is a very interesting one to watch too, where you have portals to different dimensions. So yeah, like even Stargate too, which is one of the first movies that had a portal. Like scientists wanted to open a portal to go to a different distant world, see what's there. And sometimes like I don't think that's a good idea. Um, and series like the X Files and other kind of stuff where they deal with like other supernatural things that have always been very fun to watch, and I do like watching stuff like that. So even if they do a spin-off, I may probably watch it. I do think the symbiosis of Henry Creel and the Mind Flayer, that was a good idea. It worked out well, honestly. Like no human being could have psychic powers, but I think it would be more interesting if instead of being like a being from a different planet, he actually had real psychic powers. That would be interesting. But at the same time, um, another gate, another dimension, that really worked for me. And D&D, you can see the inspiration from D&D in not only the Upside Down and first having an idea that the Upside Down was a dark dimension. No, the idea was more of like the astral plane, and that idea was really neat to see. And the astral plane in D&D is a plane that it connects to other different dimensions or different worlds. So if they continue in that direction of having what they call the abyss in the series or Dimension X, being connected to other realms, that could be interesting for more storytelling within the world of Stranger Things, in my opinion. But yeah, anyway, and or maybe coming on with a better explanation of like what the Dimension X is, and maybe how they discovered the Dimension X. How did Brenner knew what he needed to do to create that portal, where that technology came from. That's there were a few questions that they could have answered better, but at the same time, you have to get into pseudoscience and try to explain that. And sometimes the best explanations are the simple ones. And if you remember Ghostbuster, it was a supernatural event that opened a portal to Ghost was going to come, and then Ghost turned into a giant um, marshmallow person to destroy New York City. So not much explanation there, but that was really cool. Yeah, the fans have gotten too much into wanting to know about the Ivor Chandor and all that kind of stuff, but was it needed? Maybe, maybe not. But it's still good to know that again, simple expansion still works for this kind of movies. Ghostbuster has always been epic because of that. Especially the first movie, it was epic because of that final fight of like, oh my god, there's a gate open to a different dimension. We don't know what is in there, and that unknown is what actually makes the ending more interesting because we don't know what's coming. We don't know if they're going to be able to defeat it, and then it creates a good storytelling. It makes the movie feel like more epic when the heroes win with the technology that they have access to. And that is the way that I feel about this fight. Since like, oh yeah, they're fighting a gigantic monster. They don't know if that is going to work, but hopefully it works over there. And yeah, it works, and they were able to defeat it, and it was epic and awesome to see that fight and seeing the heroes win. Anyway, that's all I got for now. But yeah, definitely kind of sad that the series ended, but there are going to be other series that I'm going to be watching, and maybe I'll do more reviews of TV series or movies that about sci-fi, because there are so many movies that I like and series that I like that I think I would like to do more reviews. But I know that I don't have the budget to do amazing videos, but this will be for now what I have. But yeah, definitely I enjoy the series, and I will give it. If I were to rate it from a 1 to 10, I would give it a. I'll give it a 9. 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 because there were a few things that they could have answered more, but it was still enjoyable and it did the job. What they did with the final episode, knowing the time constraints, it worked for me. It did work for me. Anyway, bye.